take chances. Rejection is the number one way to grow. And I think that I've done a good job of that. And I would say to continue to have fun. Don't take anything too seriously.
From cornfields to high-rises, office to industrial, houses to hotels, and every other asset class in real estate, we cover the people, the projects, and the profit. Welcome to the Investing in Iowa show. This show is for go-doers, action takers, and business owners. It's for people like you who are sick of Uncle Sam taking a huge bite of your apple. If you're looking to get ahead of what's taking place in Iowa, learn who is doing what, and how you can get in on the action, you're in the right place. Hosted by Neil Timmins, an Iowa native who has been involved in over $300 million in real estate right here in Iowa. Recording in studio from West Des Moines. Here's your host, Neil Timmins.
I got Karie Kading Ramsey on the show. Karie, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited you're here. Say, for the audience to say, who are you? Where are you from? What do you do?
Yeah, Karie Kading Ramsey. I'm with Kading. We have basically three companies: Kading Development, we have Kading Construction, and we have Kading Property Management. So we basically build exclusively for ourselves workforce housing.
Where are you from?
I'm from Des Moines, Iowa. So born and raised in Urbandale, really about 3 blocks from where our office was, where I grew up, and just outside of Urbandale now in Waukee. So
how old is the company?
Company is 48 years old. So we're getting ready to celebrate our 50th anniversary.
Yeah, fantastic. So many companies don't make it that long, especially in this business. So it's fantastic, and certainly inside the same family.
Yes.
All right. So 48 years, founded by your father?
Founded by my father.
So Take me back to you personally, growing up. What was that like when you get out of high school? How did you end up eventually? I want to walk through the story about how you actually got here.
Really, I had no intentions of going into the family business. I really didn't want anything to do with it. Went to school and found myself in the insurance world. And, my dad just kept asking me to do some little side projects. And, I would go over on nights or weekends, do some Excel spreadsheets, just do some work on the computer. He was always better in the machine and on the construction site than he was in the office. So I just kind of took a little interest in what was he doing and where was he going, why was he going, all of the things that I had seen when I was a kid, just kind of understanding the why. And my dad's a really hard worker. He has a great work ethic, so it's something to really aspire to. And I am a hard worker, and I just love that we get to do it.
Really haven't met.
Yes.
Growing up, what was that like? What kind of things were you exposed to? I asked that question because a lot of people listen, a lot of guests on the show. Most of them are first generation, but there's a handful that are second and some third generation folks. So I'm always curious about what kind of conversations happen around the dinner table.
Well, our main home line was actually the line that all of the tenants would call. So when I was, we had time limits. We couldn't be on the phone. I think I might have been the first person that I knew that got a teen line because my parents were so sick of us jamming up the phone line. But we didn't get, we didn't get things. I mean, we worked for things. So with the fact that we had a teen line was just out of this world. We thought it was just incredible. But but no, our phone line was the main line where, the residents would call and report service or discuss rent or any other things that they needed. So it was literally a business out of our home.
At that time, you as a teenager, how many units were there?
There were 73 when I came on. Yeah.
73 when you came on. Not as a teenager. You're saying when you came onto the company?
When I came onto the company, there were 73.
And how many years ago has that been since you came on?
I came on that was in 98, really, when I started, just doing some fun stuff on the side. I officially came on full time in 2001.
Then how many units are there today?
Today, there's just under 3,000.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Okay, so let's take me back to the teenage era. Some of our younger listeners will have no idea what a teen line is, by the way. But you and I are, of similar age. We too had one. And it was just a second phone number that went into the phone book, literally listed as a teen line under your parents' name.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Hilarious.
Yes.
Right? As a home line.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my mom would get on the phone at a certain time at night and she'd say, okay, we're done on the phone now. And then she would hang up. She could literally pick up the phone and tell us, okay, we're done on the phone now. Click. And then I'm like, I got to get off the phone.
What did your experience in insurance, how did that help serve you in your,
I've just been really fortunate. Whatever job I've done, even as a teenager, probably that job even was more interesting to me because I worked at Showbiz Dance Supply Shop, and our manager quit when I was in high school. So they asked me if I could drive the van and run shoes all around the state of Iowa. So I got my passion for small communities started when I was really in high school doing that job. I absolutely loved. We would just go set up a dance shop and pop it up in different communities, and it was just amazing people.
Yeah.
I loved that experience.
Why is that? Because plenty of people out there see small communities, as not an opportunity, as something just to, like the whole state's a flyover. So some of this is a drive past, right? They don't see that as an opportunity. They don't fall in love with it. They're more entrenched into a more metropolitan area.
There's a certain level of pride that comes with these communities. I mean, they are literally working so hard to keep these, storefronts open, restaurants open. Everything that's in a small town is really intentional, I feel like. It's what the people need, it's what the people want, and they're going to work their tail off to make sure that those stores can remain open. And the support, I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is the support.
Iowa has, I'm ballparking, 3 million people or so, 750,000 in the Des Moines MSA. I mean, that stretches as far as Ames, so it's pretty far for the MSA. That means there's 2.25 million people who are not in, let's call it Central Iowa, in Des Moines. There's a tremendous amount of people that are situated in and around this whole state. And the economy across the whole state is pretty diverse. You got a lot of manufacturing throughout this whole state, believe it or not, but we do. Certainly agrarian. They need housing. There's just people everywhere, and they all have the same set of needs, whether you're in Des Moines, whether you're in Iowa City, it doesn't matter where you are. And you guys have really come in and identified an underserved niche and fill that. Talk to me about what is workforce housing. And then I want to get into some of these areas and towns just so people can conceive what you guys do in a place where it might look.
Yeah, I mean, really, workforce housing is going into that community and identifying what the average paycheck looks like. If that paycheck is, $30 an hour, then we know that we have to build to that number. So, everything comes back to that average paycheck, whatever it is. We have a lot of communities that call us and they say, this is what we want you to build. And then I ask them what their average pay is. And then we can work our numbers backwards and say, okay, we can't build that because people can't afford that. So we have to really build to the paycheck. And that was really my dad's big thing when he started the company. He wanted to work to build workforce housing that hardworking people were working hard to get a paycheck. He wanted that customer to be that 50-hour, 60-hour a week person who's working really hard to put food on the table. And that's really still the person that we cater to today.
Hey, Iowa investors, this is Ava Baukamp, Chief of Staff at Legacy Impact Investors. Have you thought about adding real estate to your portfolio but don't have the time or desire to play landlord? At Legacy Impact Investors, we do the heavy lifting. Our team finds the deals, manages the properties, and handles all the day-to-day operations. Our select group of qualified investors co-invest with us, gaining ownership equity without opening a tenant email or responding to a maintenance call. They just share in the income, appreciation, and tax benefits. These opportunities aren't for everyone. They are for qualified, accredited investors only. If you want to learn more, please visit legacyimpactinvestors.com to apply.
What percentage? So you get an average paycheck called $30. Okay. What percentage are you going for? If you can back into their average paycheck, you know what they make a month. What percentage of that is attributed to rent?
Generally, we figure 30% of that to housing.
It's interesting. The Atlanta Fed is the one who publishes the average housing cost in this country from a purchase standpoint, not a rental standpoint. And I want to say it's 30 or 33%. They indicate that anything above that percentage is unaffordable, and anything below that is largely affordable. And this country has been in an unaffordable status for years. I think, during COVID, as a result of interest rates being low, it probably looked pretty good. But when interest rates started moving away from that, it's been really dire. What I like about what you do is you actually have a hard formula that says this is what it has to be. And if it's a green light, it's a green light. And if not, we don't do it. Versus all sorts of people across the country, and we hear about it a lot. You read the headlines, they're moving in, they're buying a home, especially younger folks, and they are strapped and they're way above 30% because they want to own a home. And that's the card that's the hand one's dealt right now, and that's what they have to play. But you guys identify that, knowing that largely this is where somebody's going to have to be if they're going to pay their bills and if they're going to not just sustain, but ultimately thrive.
Absolutely. And we have the person who is going to, their next step is going to be go off and buy the house. Or they're the person coming out of the house. So they've lived in a home for years and years. They're not ready to transition to a nursing home or retirement. They still want that freedom, but they're really happy when we come and mow everyone's yard on Thursday. So, those are really large demographics that we fill. We have a lot of retirees that live with us too that have had manufacturing jobs, or some of them are retirees. They might be getting Social Security and they might have, a part-time job as well. But at the end of the day, that workforce number is really, the average paycheck is what we're aspiring to meet.
Question based on recent events. In the proposed tax bill that Trump's put forward is no tax on overtime. I'm wondering if that actually passes and lands, if that will end up editing or altering your plan at all, given that a lot of people would end up working overtime. If that would shift your number past 30%.
Yeah, I don't really think it would affect us too much. I think people may spend more money, or that discretionary spend piece is important to families. Whenever they have extra money, we saw that throughout COVID. The extra money that people received, it went to, generally buying things or traveling, stuff like that. A lot of people, the majority of the people live with us, it's intentional. They don't want the work of mowing. They could own a home if they could find one in the community, but you know how hard it is to buy a $200,000 or less house in the community. It's impossible.
Yes.
And if you do find one, it probably needs a lot of money thrown at it to make it, an appropriate place to live.
Median new construction homes, worth of $400,000 in this country. Yeah.
So
it's wild. How many towns are you in the state?
28 right now, and we're getting ready to break ground in 3 new communities next year. So
that's fantastic. All right. So my question is 3 new communities next year. So many people I talk to on the builder side, more specifically, who build and then retain as rentals. They can't get the numbers to work, right? Apartment construction is really coming to a halt here in Des Moines. A lot of projects. It looks very different than what it did 2 years ago. How are you able to get the numbers to work?
Really, it's just a formula. And really, that's how our hometown tours were created. We set up hometown tours, and we can't field all of the calls or the demands for housing in this state. It's impossible. Every community is calling with the same need. They need this workforce or missing middle demographic of housing to be met. And so we're going in and we're touring communities and we're saying, okay, what are your needs? Where do you have land? Help us identify and do some of the work for us or with us. And so we really have been able to use that as a good partnership to understand this is what it takes to put the housing in. And, just we're really transparent. These are our numbers. This is what it's going to cost to put this in. So we can't provide, this extra stuff. So if you want that extra stuff, we will do it, but we really need your partnership to provide that.
Extras have a cost.
Yeah.
How do you manage 3,000 units across 28 towns in the state?
Really good people. We have an incredible staff. We've got long-standing relationships with subs. I think the last time we pulled a total sub amount was about 620 vendors and subcontractors throughout the state that we're relying on. So a great team. We have a great leadership team, and their staffs are all incredible. And people stick with us and they want to work for us long periods of time. We have staff, staff members that have been with us over 30 years. So, that's just a testament to the commitment that we've made to our staff and to the state of Iowa. And they're proud to work for us. And we appreciate all their efforts.
How big is the staff that it takes to run this machine?
So we currently have 57 individual, independent employees of the property management team. So we are busy. We're out all the time, but tons and tons of vendors that help us do what we do.
I'm kind of curious because it's come up really in the last quarter year. That not on air, but we'll talk about it when I'm talking before or after with somebody. Insurance has become a bigger conversation. It seems like it's always been important, and everybody is. It almost seems like it's been isolated in the past, given to individuals or properties that have had certain claims or certain histories, whatever it may be. But now it seems like what I'm hearing is it's far more widespread. I'm just curious if you're seeing it, if there's any impact in your guys' world from an insurance standpoint.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can deny that the insurance rates are not climbing. And with everything, that we've had going on in the United States, we could see the writing on the wall that it was coming to increase everybody's rates. But we're raising deductibles, we're doing things. We have a really good product that we use on the exterior. So we're using everything that we're using is same stuff that I put on my own home. So, I think that helps, but also, we're raising deductibles. We're, putting money in a captive and doing some self-insuring and just being creative that way. But we're not turning in, a lot of the small claims. We're, putting together capital repair budgets and just making sure that we have some miscellaneous things for, things that come up. Yeah.
A captive is an interesting way. You've got to be a certain size to be able to do that. Captive is essentially like having your own insurance company, right?
Correct.
Where you're building this, and there's some significant tax benefits there if one can get it done, but you got to have size in order to do certain things.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
What are you most excited about in this year, 2025?
Well, I touched on it, but we're getting ready to start our hometown tours. Communities have applied for us. We've selected 5 of the communities. Some of the communities that were denied, don't feel sad. It doesn't mean that we don't love your community. We do, but it's just not the right time to get there. Territory is important to us. We have a large footprint to serve, so we've got to be able to make sure that we have the reach to get where we need to go.
Operational efficiency to be able to do it. And there's only so many things you can do.
Correct. And there's only so many we can build in a year. So keep trying and we want those communities to keep trying to apply. And that guide kind of gives a narrative of what we're looking for and what we need from the community too, just to help us establish who has land, what land would be, efficient.
If you're a house flipper, execute the burst strategy or do double closings and are in need of money, Little Guy Loans is your go-to lender here in the Des Moines area. Time is money. Loan approvals in 24 hours. Closings in 5 days. Little Guy Loans was founded by Neil Timmins, an investor just like you. Since he has been in over 10,000 homes in Des Moines, there's never an appraisal. Houses, multifamily, and commercial property loans up to $1 million. Check out www.littleguyloans.com.
Your role, how long have you sat in your exact role today?
2011 officially.
How have you individually had to change from that 2011 to today to go through and build what you've been able to build?
Yeah, I think that part of my sisters are both in the business as well. And they kind of give me grief sometimes that my expectation is always on the ceiling. And it is. I keep a very high expectation of all of our teams and even our vendors, whoever it is, you represent our residents, our communities, everybody that we serve. And I think that I've just really tried to embrace that spirit of being excited about what we do. The manufacturers, the people that we're serving are so grateful to have this type of housing. And we just have to make sure that we're operating at a high level and making sure that, when we're in a community, we're doing the best thing we can to put the best product out there, and then to make sure we're maintaining it to a high level.
Well, the leader sets that expectation, and others will ultimately they will rise to the level of expectation that's set, no matter how high or how low that expectation is set and measured. So my hat's off to you, because for people to set and maintain a high standard.
Yeah. And it's easy to do that when you love the industry. I mean, we have we have a fun time. We are literally creating something out of nothing. I mean, just take this raw ground and, work with communities and, engineers and the construction teams and create something that people are so grateful to have and communities are so grateful.
3,000 units. What percentage are in Iowa?
100%.
100%. For you, why Iowa? What keeps you here? You guys could cross the border any day of the week you choose, because there's needs all across this country. But you've set up very deep roots here, and all the expansion has been here. Why?
I think that it's our home. I mean, we love Iowa. All of my family is from Iowa. We've been here. I mean, we've been here forever. My grandparents had a farm in Knoxville. We've just have long-standing roots. Our office is in Urbandale, 3 blocks literally from our childhood home. I mean, we just, we're rooted in Iowa. We have a lot of opportunities to go outside of Iowa, but the need is still here. So as long as the need is still here, I envision that we'll continue to build in Iowa and serve our own states.
Karie, you ready for the final 3 questions?
Yeah.
If you had one piece of advice for your 20-year-old self, what would it be?
Take chances. Rejection is the number one way to grow. And I think that I've done a good job of that. But sometimes I've been really hard on myself about rejection. And ultimately looking back throughout that's really been the most success is when, we have rejection or something negative, that doesn't go our way. And we are able to learn from it and grow and figure out different ways, be creative. And I would say to continue to have fun. Don't take anything too seriously.
Yeah. 2 books that changed your life.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad has to be the number one. I think we have a rule that you have to read that in high school. I think I've probably read it about 4 times throughout my life, maybe even more. But I've always got somebody reading that book. Yeah. So I love to tell young people to read that book because it does give different perspectives. And I think it's really important to have that. I don't know.
Well, we talk about expectations. It's a tough second place for anybody else because it is a distant second place after reading that book.
Yeah.
I mean, that is far and away the number one book that's ever mentioned. Here's when we have conversation.
Yeah, it's just such an easy read too. They really do a good job. He does a great job of dumbing it down, right?
Yeah,
puts it in real
form so you can digest it. Yeah.
Yes, you can understand it in a real terms. And that's the number one book that I always encourage my high school and young adults to read.
If you were cast away on an island for 1 year, you could only get 3 pieces of data about your business each and every month. What 3 things must you know every month to know how your business is running?
Ooh, I would want to know I probably would just want to know, oh, golly, it's hard because we're running 3 businesses essentially, right?
I'll let you pick one. You pick one vertical, one of the 3 businesses.
I think construction is generally costs, right? Costs, making sure that we're on target for budgets and timing is a big part of that. So so really just, overall costs, making sure we're on track for budgets. Construction is probably my favorite just because there's just so much excitement around construction. We generally have right now we have about 500 under construction. We're doing, we're doing multiple projects. We're just getting ready. We're finishing 2 of them up right now, and just starting one. So.
Imagine on the development, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would think, from the development of the ground ready to go and then the construction to going vertical, once that's solidified, pretty much and your costs are solidified, I would imagine you've locked in the win because the filling it and the managing it is probably kind of old hat for you guys and not so many variables.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even once we go vertical, once the slabs are in, we're going vertical. I always kind of say, okay, that job is done now. So we can rest easy. It's the underground stuff that you can't see that's always the riskiest. So, yeah.
I've asked lots of questions. What's one question that I did not ask that I should have asked?
Boy, probably the family business piece and the family dynamic and what that looks like. For us, I think it's fun to work together. And, we could be sitting right here and we could be in a full on fight. Mm-hmm. And then we're like, okay, does anybody want to go to lunch? We're used to that healthy banter and it, kind of makes it fun. So we have a 7-year rule. So each generation can't come into the business until they've worked somewhere else for 7 years. So right now we're just on G2s, but we have 3. So my 2 sisters are both in the business. I'm the oldest. Yeah.
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 I can imagine it's unique. What are they, when you get together at the holidays, what do the conversations consist of? Is it business or is it no business at all? What's that look like?
It feels like in a family business always enters in. I would say probably more so for my dad and I, we love to talk about business. Especially probably construction or projects or where to go next or planning. But most of the time, my mom is good about shutting it down. If anybody's talking business in over the holidays, she's always pretty good about.
She's the glue to that family to make sure that there are rituals and traditions outside of it.
Yeah, she says, okay, that's enough talk. Yeah. So,
did your father have siblings?
He has 2 siblings. Yes, he's actually the middle child. Yes, middle child. Yeah. He has a brother and a sister.
Yeah. I'm always interested in the family dynamics and where people fall and how they end up choosing one path or another.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, this has been a fantastic conversation. I appreciate you taking the time to connect up. For people they want to follow you, find you, connect with you, where can they go? What should they do?
Yeah, you can follow me personally on LinkedIn. You can also find Kading Properties on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and keep following us for hometown tours this year. We'll have some fun ones for this summer.
Fantastic. Links are below in the show notes, everybody. Karie, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. If you're enjoying the show, may I ask a favor of you? Naturally, subscribe so you never miss an episode. But would you rate and leave an honest written review on Apple Podcasts? It does a lot for us here at the show, and I appreciate reading your thoughts. Great guests make for a great show. If you know of another Iowan who would be a great guest, or you yourself have interest in being a guest, well, get on our radar. Visit Investing in Iowa to fill out an application or recommend a guest. And if you want to connect with me one-on-one, go to LegacyImpactInvestors.com. Click on the Invest With Us button in the top right corner, and there you can pick a time for the 2 of us to get on the calendar and connect. Until next time, keep investing in Iowa.